So I transformed myself into Ben 10 using VFX and CGI, and if you wanna know how I did it, then watch the whole video. There are total 10 shots in this sequence which I'm gonna make, so let's start with the modeling. I started modeling the Omnitrix. It was quite easy to do as it was nothing but cylinders everywhere. After modeling it, I textured it using Substance Painter and Blender, and it looked quite good actually. So then I moved on to the alien, and for the alien I chose Diamond Head and I downloaded the base model from Sketchfab. Then I tweaked the model using some modifiers and proportional editing. Then I retextured it and it was ready to go. So now that I was done with the modeling, I directly started working on the shots. As I have already recorded the footage which I'm gonna need, I also rigged the Omnitrix and the Diamond Head, as you cannot animate anything unless you have rigged it. So what is rigging, you may ask? Rigging is the process where you give a skeleton system to your 3D model so it can finally move and you can animate it. So starting from shot number 1. So this is where I found out that I forgot something, because in the first shot there's a capsule that's falling towards Earth which contains the Omnitrix, but I forgot to make the capsule. So I just went back, modeled the capsule, textured it again using Substance Painter, and it was done. So for shot number 1, I just placed the capsule in front of the camera, animated it rotating in the same place, and rendered it out, and that was it. Trust me, it's going to look good in the final result after the compositing. I added the trail, added the background, and added some camera shake to the footage, and it looked pretty good. Moving on to the second shot, I tracked the camera and I placed a plane where the capsule was going to land. Then I animated the capsule falling on the plane. Then I turned the plane into a shadow catcher which makes the 3D plane invisible while displaying the shadows of other 3D objects in the scene. And in the compositing, I added a lot of dust, camera shake, motion blur, and I changed the color of my jacket from blue to green, which was necessary, I guess, because Ben 10 wears a green jacket, but it doesn't really matter because the watch is from Ben 10 Classic and he wears a green jacket in Alien Force. For the third shot, I just eyeballed the angle of the camera and I rendered a single frame. Then I combed it into the footage and it looks pretty good. There was nothing much to do and it was done. For the fourth shot, I just repositioned the camera near the capsule. I turned on depth of field and the ground was really intensive for rendering, so I rendered the background and the capsule separately as different layers. I rendered only one frame of the background and then I rendered the entire animation where the capsule is opening, and then I composited it and it looked really good. For the fifth shot, I tracked the ground in After Effects and then I brought the track into Blender. I placed the object according to the scene and I rendered it out. So I just composited a render over the footage. Then I rotated my hand and brought it on top of everything so it looks like I'm reaching for the watch, and this shot was done. Moving on to the sixth shot. So this is where I faced my first problem. I did not know how to track objects in 3D space. I was searching around how to do it and I came across a plugin called Key Tools Geo Tracker. So I tried it and it worked like a charm. I tracked a 3D hand onto my footage using the Key Tools Geo Tracker and placed the Omnitrix on the tracked 3D hand. But since Omnitrix didn't fit perfectly as I didn't model it to the exact dimensions of my hand, I used a lattice modifier which deforms the object based on the structure of the lattice. So I used the modifier and now the Omnitrix was looking good enough, and I made the 3D hand a shadow catcher. I already told you what it means. After that, I rendered the sequence and in After Effects I composited it, added a glow on top of the watch because it looked a little plasticky in my opinion, and also added some motion blur to make it look real, did some color correction so it matched the scene perfectly. So this shot was then done. For the seventh shot, I repeated the same process, but this time I animated the watch and then rendered it out. Then while compositing, I created the alien appearance in a separate composition. Then I tracked the watch in After Effects, then I placed the composition over it, added some glow, rotoscoped the other hand over the watch, and the seventh shot was done. Moving on to the eighth shot, it was a close-up shot to show the dial coming out of the watch, as it wasn't very noticeable in the previous shot. It was the same process as the other two shots, and after compositing it, it was done. For the ninth shot, I wanted to show the diamond head from behind to not reveal its appearance just yet. So I placed the 3D model that I created earlier and I animated it using the noise modifier, and I moved the camera from his ankles to the back of his head, rendered it out, then I composited everything onto a background that I created, and the shot was done. For the 10th shot, I wanted to go all out because it was going to be the selling shot of my video. So I thought, how about Diamond Head just looks into the camera, smashes the ground, then diamond rocks come out of of the ground, and there's a lot of dust and debris everywhere, and the camera's following everything. It was quite difficult for me to do, but anyways. So first, I simulated the ground breaking. Then I added some particles, and it was looking quite good. This is the first time I've simulated something like this in Blender. Then I placed the diamond stones or rocks which were going to come out of the ground, which was just regular rocks that I downloaded, and applied the same texture from Diamond Head, and it looked pretty good. I created the background using a displacement modifier and a ground texture. Then I finally animated the Diamond Head breaking the ground in a cool pose. Then I added the camera movement, and then I also added dust, which I simulated within Blender, and I imported it as a VDB and added it into the scene, and finally my shot was done. So I rendered the scene in different layers to prevent my laptop from catching fire and to make the compositing in After Effects easier. I arranged everything in After Effects. I did some color grading, added glow, added a motion blur to each layer, and after a whole lot of work and a whole lot of compositing, it was done. I forgot to mention this earlier, but I added an extra shot in this sequence because I felt something was missing between the shots 8 and 9, so I made this extra shot, and this is how I did it. I recorded myself walking in front of the camera, then I removed the background, then I composited myself in the shot, and it was done. I arranged all the shots in Premiere Pro, added some sound effects which are just as important as visuals, and finally it was complete. If you're still watching, please hit the like button and consider subscribing, because this video took a lot of my time and effort to make, and your support helps me continue creating more content like this. Now the moment you have all been waiting for since the beginning of this video. Enjoy the final reveal.